Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals IGP Bangladesh. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals IGP Bangladesh. Thank you all for joining us and staying with us till the end. Honorable knowledge seekers, today I am your host for the afternoon, and my name is Arjun Oshak and I am from Bangladesh. Here, IGP Knowledge Seekers, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. IGP is a IGP is a social and ISO certified international training institute. In last 3 years, we already served 3 million knowledge seekers from 100 plus countries. IGP is internationally recognized and globally accredited. We are connected to more than 250 plus professionals and 4,500 plus organizations. Institute of Global Professionals IGP is the training faculty for skill development which was founded in 2020 and is generating competent candidates to meet demand in the global labor market by providing social qualifications. The Institute of Global Professionals is an educational institute that provides social work globally recognized and reputed. We serve students and community resource providing holistic social work and education. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skill just by acquiring formal education. So we provide effective training and consulting to generate proficient generation all over the world. We distribute our service locally, nationally, and internationally to students, job seekers, job holders, and also our learners through respective campus location and distance learning platform. We are an occupational and dependable schools. IGP is one of the most famous online institutes from all over the world. Our vision is education is not a business product, it's a part of our human rights. Based on our vision, we are already trying to reach all corners of the world for free webinars, seminars, courses, award quiz competition, mentoring, and counseling, etc. On the other side, we already trying to serve more than 100 plus billion service for free like create own portfolio websites, resume builder, cover letter, motivation letter, and world knowledge platform for gathering general knowledge, which can update all day. Kids learning games, websites, free courses, convert sites, and many more. We help to empower youth to learn to meet their expectations and dreams and become highly skilled people. We implement several trainings, programs, webinars, and offline online courses for youth and learners by professional trainers, speakers, and coaches. Our sessions are conducted by globally renowned professionals to develop all kind of youth and to promote the education of their abilities and personalities. To ensure excellent and in-depth instruction, we arranged with qualified trainers, speakers, and instructors. We extended free service to more than 3 million knowledge seekers in the last 3 years. We have affiliations with universities and organizations in 70 different countries. Virtual mouse signing with many colleges and organizations have been accomplished. We are working to create a legendary generation to future scholars and citizens who will be accountable. We are constantly prepared to assist all knowledge seekers with valuable service. Spreading knowledge is crucial for the Institute of Global Professionals. We believe that knowledge is love, light, and vision. So we try to understand the needs of today's generation and will serve them with good research and practice method. We must have a genuine concern for a for the learners and practiced method. We have a genuine concern for the learners. We represent more diversity, growth, and innovation are required. To lead a session with personalism, passion, and integrity, IGP members are committed to offering effective based quality service and continual improvement so that individual who with information can improve their skill level and values. Before we move to the next, let me remind: don't forget share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Before we move to the next, let me remind: don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Moving to the next. With your continuous support, we already completed 1279 webinars successfully. Wow. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we already completed 1279 webinars successfully. Wow. At present, we are going to start our 1280 programs. Name is Ethics of Scientific Research. And our today's speaker, ma'am, Dr. Samia Ismail Shaikh from Palestine. Before I hand over the stage, ma'am, want to share a very little bit about our speaker. She is an executive manager in Ministry of Education and Higher Education Palestine. Now very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with her presentation. Now very important moment for me to invite our speaker IGP with her presentation.
Okay, thank you,
Hello
sir.
ma'am,
Hello,
how are you ma'am?
fine. I'm good. How are you?
Ma'am, I hope your volume is so low. Please reach your volume.
Okay. Is it suitable now? Is it suitable? Is my
Okay
voice,
ma'am.
can you hear me? Well,
Okay ma'am.
okay. Then shall I begin?
Yes ma'am, please present your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody in everywhere and every place in the world. Nice to meet you again with IGP International Global Professionals Team. I'm so pleased to be one of its members. My My lecture today is entitled Ethics of Scientific Research. But before I begin, I'm going to tell you some or two events happened with me. The first one is before 20 years. The head teacher of a school here in Gaza called me and told me that one of her teachers took my magazine, which I have before prepared it. I had prepared it before, and put her name on it and sold it to the students. She was very angry and she took my right and she phoned me telling me that she punished this teacher by doing that. I was so pleased because it was my effort and someone has stolen it or extracted it and put her name. The second event was, and it was very important for me. It was when I prepared my master thesis, and I knew by chance when I looked in the internet, I knew that one of someone from Saudi Arabia, I think, extracted my master thesis with 95 papers. I was stunned to know that. I told the deanship of science boarding in Gaza, Palestine. These are two events which affected me. In fact, they affected me so much. And this is we call this plagiarism, and it is very awful, in fact, for someone who extracts someone's effort and put his or her name on it. Um, Let us now begin our lecture, and we're going here today to talk about ethics of scientific research, the regulations of scientific research, and we are going to begin with the introduction. Um, Ethics of scientific research, the definition of it. It means, what does it mean? It means the way of understanding and examining what is right and what is wrong in the fields of research and its practices. This is the definition of ethics of scientific research. The previous definition includes, what does it include? First of all, it means, or it includes, not exploitation, that's to say justice. And then it means respect for persons. Then do no harm, don't harm anybody or even any animal. These are the contents of the previous definition. About the elements of research ethics, we are going to talk about, first of all, ethics and review committees, then ethical research, then researchers and sponsors, then the society. From ethical research, there are some arrows which are going out from it. The ethical research concludes or includes ethics and review committees, then the society, then the researchers and the sponsors. These are the three elements of ethical research. Ethical charter for scientific research. It is like a constitution, which includes a set of supreme values, customs, and traditions that are agreed upon academically and formulated in a manner that defines the rules to be followed in expected professional behavior, as well as prohibited behavior, and must be adhered to. Then we are going to know the manner that defines the rules to be followed and the expected professional behavior as well as prohibited behavior, okay, and must be adhered to it according to the Declaration of Helsinki in 1983 and the International Federation of Ethics. Research ethics sources. From where can we take the research ethics? First of all, the doctrinal source. It is determined by religions and beliefs. Then, from values. their moral foundations than from laws and rules. The governing controls and systems issued by the institutions in accordance with the professional orientation. These are the sources of the research ethics. We extract or we took or we can take our research ethics from these three sources. First of all, doctrinal source, then the values, then laws and rules. Foundations of university professor ethics. If there is someone in the work is working in a university or in an institution, and we know that the scientific research is coming from where from the university, in fact, because this is one of her services or the university services which they or which these universities offer for people or for the society. Then a set of formal and informal behavioral norms used by the professor and the staff within the educational institution as a reference that guides their behavior while performing their jobs. These are the foundations of university professor ethics. Standards and regulations governing research ethics are applied within the framework of the university system in its various sectors, such as in the field of teaching, in the field of scientific research, in other areas. In the field of teaching, we are going to know about calendar and exams, student activities and relations, administration and relations. In the field of scientific research, intellectual property, supervising messages, avoiding intrusion, dealing with living organisms. But in other areas, community service, administrative work, scientific councils and committees, ethical responsibilities, and of academic leaders. These are the standards and regulations governing research ethics, which are applied within the frame of the university system in its various sectors. And we talked about them then in the field of teaching, and in the field of scientific research, and in other areas such as community service, administrative work, scientific councils and committees, ethical responsibilities of academic leaders. Now we are going to talk about the values and regulations governing research ethics. First of all, we are going to know the difference between values and regulations. What do we mean by values and what do we mean by regulations? The difference between the values and regulations governing those dealing with scientific research. First of all, we are going to talk about values. What do we mean by values? A value is a belief within a person is fixed and doesn't it change with the passage of time or with the changes in work conditions. All of them must be available without exception in the workbench. The absence of a single value leaves a person out of the power to deal with ethics of research. Then we have to commit with our values, which are not which we are stick to them, and they don't change with the passage of time or with changes in any condition. But the regulations mean, what does it mean? It means a set of regulations governing the actual behavior. Will you please pass the slides? Sir, will you please pass yes? Pass it, the other slide. Okay. Then the next. Will you please pass it? The next. And the next. Yes, the next slide also. The next slide. And the next one. The next one, please. Okay, let's see. Then what do we mean by regulations? It means a set of regulations governing the actual behavior of a person while dealing with work elements. Regulations may change according to the type and conditions of work. In the contrary with the values. Values do not change, but regulations may change according to the type and conditions of work. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Sir, will you please? Yes, okay. The values governing ethics of a faculty member or of a university member. There are some values which must be committed by the professors or the members of any faculty or any institution or any university. First of all, commitment to the instructions of the Islamic religion, because here in Gaza, the Islamic religion is our religion. But in other countries, it will be maybe Jews, maybe Christian. But here in Gaza, we should, or a faculty member should commit to the instructions of the Islamic religion. Then respect for human value. This is very necessary, in fact, to respect human value. Then honesty and transparency. There should be an honesty and transparency in our work. Then respect for freedom and expression. This is very important. Not to prejudice the light of others. This is very important, to respect rights of others. Commitment to the profession regulations, and we are going to talk about these regulations in the next slides. Observance of technicians and workers when dealing with hazardous materials. This is very important. These are the values governing the ethics of a faculty member. The next slide, please. The next slide. Okay. In the next slide, we're going to talk about the regulations governing the ethics of those dealing in the field of scientific research. The following section is concerned with the ethical behaviors governing customers. By scientific research, the governing regulations are divided into four main items related to the preparation and implementation of experiments and scientific publication, namely papering plans, conducting research, dealing with living organisms, scientific publishing. These are the main four regulations which governs the ethics of those who are dealing in the field of scientific research. The next slide, please. We're going to talk about regulations, items, scientific research, ethics, and the next slide, please. Here in the middle, we are going to see that ethical regulations items. There are four elements or regulations which we are going to follow or to commit with while doing our research. First of all, preparing plans and research proposals. This is the first item. Then, conducting research and scientific experiments. This is the second element. The third, dealing with living organisms. The fourth, publish research results. Then, first of all, we are going to put the plan and then conduct the research, scientific experiments, then dealing with organisms, then publish research results. We shouldn't publish anything of the research, but if we finished it and took the results, and the professors of the or the main researcher say that it's good to spread or to make it for the to appear it for the others or to publish it for the others, it will not be or it won't be forbidden to publish these results. In the next slide, we are going to talk about each element of the fourth elements. First of all, regulations of preparing research plans and proposals. This is the first step. The main researcher's commitment is not to transfer the idea of searching for others and to be accurate and honest in presenting the parts quoted from others with a clear indication of the source of the code. This is very important, in fact. Then the main researcher should, we talk about those who are working in a collection in scientific research. There will be a main researcher or let us say the main researcher whose commitment is not to transfer the idea. He shouldn't talk about the talk about the idea because it will be stolen or extracted from others. Then it will be prohibited to transfer the idea of searching for others, and to be very accurate and honest in presenting the parts quoted from others. He should say if he extracted some words from others, he should say from where did he extract or does he extract these words or these lines. Then, number two, clarity of the proposal items and not to conceal or alter any of its elements for any reason. Now, this is the proposal, and there are some items of it. There shouldn't be concealed or altered any of its elements for any reason. The third element, the commitment of the main researcher and the co-researchers to respect the results of published studies on the subject, and a clear reference to their sources when preparing to the research literature in the proposal. There should be a commitment to everything in the researcher, and the researchers and co-researchers should respect the results of published studies in the subject, and also a clear reference to their sources when preparing the research literature in the proposal. Then, respecting the rules of intellectual property. This is very important, in fact. When in the results or in the techniques to be used in the research. As I said, there shouldn't be a plagiarism, and there should be honest, and there should be transparency when they extract any lines from other context. In the next slide, we are going to talk about preparing research plans and proposals. The principal researcher is committed to the rights of the members of the research team when preparing the work plan or allocating in the budget. The main researcher adheres to not exaggerating in presenting the research items and the necessity of matching it with the capabilities of the research team and its ability to implement all the items of the plan. This is very important. The main researcher, then, we are going to repeat it again, should adhere and not to exaggerate in presenting the research items and the necessity of matching it with the capabilities of the research team and its ability to implement all the items of the plan. In the next, the commitment of the principal researcher and the members of the research team to determine the mechanisms for safe handling of materials that are hazardous to public health and harmful to the governing dealing with these materials. This is very important. If the researcher is dealing with toxic, for example, materials, he should be very careful for himself and for the other researchers. Then the main researcher is committed not to exaggerate in abilities of the candidate team when presenting previous experiences or CV presenting capabilities and environment, and to respect the regulations. This is very important, to respect the regulations, which we talk about its definition in the past slide. The next slide, please. Now we are going to talk about regulations, preparing research plans and proposals. The next slide, please. In the next slide, we are going to talk preparing research plans and proposals. First of all, the principal researcher or the main researcher is committed to the rights of the members of the research team when preparing the work plan or allocating the budget. The main researcher, in the next element, the main researcher adheres also to not exaggerating in presenting the research items and the necessity of matching it with capabilities of the research team and its ability to implement all the items of the plan. Then the commitment of the principal researcher or the main researcher and the members of the research team to determine the mechanisms for safe handling of materials that are hazardous to public health and harmful to the environment, and to respect the regulations governing dealing with those or with these materials, as I said in the last or in the previous slide. The main researcher is committed not to exaggerate in presenting the capabilities and abilities of the candidate team when presenting previous experience or CV. As we said, the next slide, please. In the next slide, we're going to talk about conducting scientific research and experiments. Then, in the first, we talked about, I told you about preparing the plans and the proposals. And here we are going to conduct the scientific research. Now, commitment to the terms of the proposals and the plan that were submitted and approved by the responsible authority of the university. Then here the authority of the university should say or should approve their work to begin to work in their research. And number two, commitment to the conditions of the funded entity from the university with regard to the schedule, allocation of budget items, and submission of interim and final completion reports. This is very important to be committed to the conditions of the funded entity. From where shall we go, or the source of the funded funds we shall or the researcher shall get. Then observance of fairness by the principal researcher or the main researcher in distributing work to the team members as specified in the proposal or project plan. When they prepare the plan, there should be an executive plan, and there should be distribution to each one of the team to know what is he going to do, and they should be handled fairly, in fact. Then observance of fairness by the principal researcher in distributing work to the team members as specified in the proposals or project plan. This will be written in the project plan. For example, Professor X will do this experiment, and Professor Y will do this experiment, and so on, taking into account their scientific and financial rights. Then, number four, not to enter or import authorized materials or elements or before presenting them to the competent regulatory authorities, which is the responsibility of the principal researcher. This is very important, not to import or unauthorized materials or elements before presenting them to the competent regulatory authorities in the university. If they approve, you will, or the researcher will use them, import them. In the next slide, not to initiate and the application or publication of materials or living elements in the environment, whether for an experimental or applied purpose, without a documented official permit. There should be an official permission to spread or to initiate the publication of application or publication the materials of living elements. There should be an official permission, which is the responsibility of the principal researcher. The main researcher or the principal researcher is responsible for what? For initiating the application of publication of materials or living elements in the environment, whether for an experimental or applied purpose. The next, commitment to applying the mechanism of storage and safe use of chemicals and hazardous materials inside the laboratories. This is very important because they are very dangerous. With the definition of the technicians and workers working in the project of the dangers of these materials and the methods of dealing with them, with the documentation of these mechanisms and displaying them appropriately. There should be commitment to applying these mechanisms, in fact, because they are very dangerous. The need to strictly adhere to the regulations and the standards for dealing with living organisms. If they now we are going a scientific research and we are going to, or the researchers will use animals, for example, to deal with them, and so they should strictly adhere to the regulations and the standards for dealing with these living organisms. Obligation to keep the results confidential, and the principal researcher to take the necessary measures to prevent them from being leaked. This is very important. Commitment to direct technicians um, uh, and workers to the risks of scientific experiments. They should know that they are doing some uh, risk or some dangerous experiments. They should be commitment to direct or to the instructions of the technicians of these uh, materials they are going to use or these animals they are going to deal with. The next slide. Now, dealing with living things. We are going to talk about how to deal with living things. First of all, the need for human forces, such as researchers, technicians, and workers dealing with living creatures to be fully qualified from a scientific, skillful, and ethical perspective to deal with these creatures. There should be persons who are very fully qualified. From where? From a scientific, skillful, and ethical perspective to deal with these creatures. This is number one. Then, taking into account or into consideration that the laboratories are equipped in a manner suitable for dealing with living organisms in terms of transportation, preservation, conducting experiments, and avoiding contamination and infection. This is very important when dealing with these experiments. In the next slide, please. In the next slide, yes, the necessity of using the least possible number of experimental animals and avoiding as much as possible pain or harm to these animals when conducting experiments. Okay, there should be a necessity of using the least possible number of experimental animals and avoiding as much as possible pain or harm to these animals because they are living things and it is very prohibited to cause pain or harm for them. As much as possible, we are going to lessen pain or harm to these animals when conducting the experiment. The principal researchers or the main researchers' obligation is to obtain official approvals when importing, sending, transporting, or storing any living element for the purpose of scientific research. That's to say, we shouldn't, or the researcher or the main researcher shouldn't take, for example, a dog from the street or a cat from the street to do the experiment on it. But he should take a permission from official approvals when importing, sending, transporting, or storing any living element or animal for the purpose of the scientific research. This is very important. Then the need to conduct all experiments on infectious microorganisms in laboratories in order to preserve the safety of workers and to prevent the leakage of infectious organisms outside the laboratories. This is very important. We are going as much as possible to not to cause harm or pain for animals, for example, when the researchers do their experiments, and also they should conduct all their experiments on infectious microorganisms in laboratories in order why that's to preserve the safety of workers and not to prevent the leakage of infectious organisms outside the laboratories. Then commitment to fully inform any person subject to experiments of all aspects related to the experiments and the effects that may result from them, and to obtain written consent from the subject of the experiments. Then they shouldn't publish the results, but they should commit to fully inform any person subject to experiments of all aspects related to the experiments and of effects that may result from them, and to obtain written consent from the subject of the experiments. In the next slide, also there should be observing the legal and ethical controls or regulations regarding genetic engineering research by not conducting human cloning research or embryonic stem cell experiments for the purpose of creating embryos or trafficking in human organs. This is very important, in fact, and very harmful, in fact. The researcher's commitment not to conduct genetic modification experiments, gene or transferred on infectious microorganisms. This is very important. In the next slide, we're going to talk also about the researcher's commitment to immediately inform the responsible authorities of any experimental error that may harm public health or the environment. If the researchers did the experiment and there was an error, there should be a commitment of the researcher or the main researcher to tell immediately the responsible authorities, so as to not to harm or to cause harmful things for people or the environment. Then commitment to the safe disposal of all waste and effects resulting from experiments conducted on living organisms. This is very important. The next commitment is to prohibiting the planted publication of any genetically engineered plant, uh, not not uh, not just not just the experiments concerning animals or people, but also the plants, and conducting minimally invasive experiments in protected houses that do not allow leakage, and after obtaining official approval. This is very important. The official, we are concerning or focus on the official approval from the competent authorities, with completely safe disposal of the remains of experiments after their completion. This is very important, and these commitments are very important. Then, when the researchers, the main researcher and the co-researchers finish the experiments, there should be regulations when publishing the research results. First of all, the researcher is committed to observing honesty and not exaggerating and presenting the results of research or experiments. This is number one. Number two, commitment not to hide some results or display them vaguely in the published scientific paper. This is very to be honest in publishing these or the results. Number three, observance of intellectual property rights regarding data or information prepared for publication. This is very important. As I said, there shouldn't be a plagiarism, and they should say from where they take this or the source of the information or the data they got. The next slide, there should be also commitment. And the next slide, please. Okay. No, not number 4. The previous one, please. We took number 1, 2, 3, and now number 4 and 5. Regulations for publishing research results. The previous one, please. Okay. The previous one. No, the previous. I don't know. There is a mistake here. There should be number 4, regulations for publishing research results. The previous, please. No, there is a mistake. Okay, regulations for publishing research results, commitment to take into account the rights of research participants and supporting team when preparing scientific papers. And the last one, commitment to the intellectual property rights of patents and not to exploit the patent without written consent to the entity or person holding the patent. This is very important. And the next slide, the researchers' commitment not, no, the next one, please, the next one, the next one, the next, okay, and the next, I don't know, there is a mistake. Okay, regulations for publishing, this is 1, 2, the next one, the next, yes, the next slide, please, and the next one. Okay, this is right. Okay. The researcher's commitment not to submit the scientific paper to more than one publication container. We shouldn't publish these results or the scientific paper to many magazines, for example, just for one magazine to be published. Then exclude the use of parts of the results of the published scientific paper in the preparation of another scientific paper. Then, commitment not to submit the published scientific paper for more than one scientific award. If we got an award for our scientific research, we shouldn't we shouldn't get another award for the same scientific research, but we should do other researches to get this award or some other awards. In the next slide, number 9, commitment to refer as a scientific reference to the funding agency and the research institution incubating the research. This is very important. And in the 10th and last item, considering thanking the donor for the research project. To thank the people who donates us or who offered the funds for us. This is very important. In the next slide, we are going to talk one of the most important applications of ethics regulations in the field of scientific publishing. We are going to talk publishing regulation program. This is, you can see in the slide, one of the most important websites or applications of ethics regulations in the field of scientific publication. Why do we use it, or why does the university use it? Because the program identifies any information extracted from any document published on the International Information Network. That's to say, the internet. The program shows the extracted information and also identifies the source from which it was extracted. Then, if any researcher extracted some lines from any context or from any researcher and put his name, the university will know that by using this application, which is in front of you in this slide. They will know from where did he get it and who is the owner, the main owner of these information or of this information. Then the Insight Control Program is available at the Deanship of Scientific Research for all researchers, with a password available to every researcher at the university. For those who are working in the university, they should have a password for their Insight Control Program is found and available for all of them at the Deanship of Scientific Research for all of them, and they should have a password and they can enter this application or this website to know the main source of this information. Then the researcher may not use the next slide. In the next slide, the researcher may not use a sentence or part of this published research previously in another scientific paper that he is preparing for publication. This is considered an extract from published research. In this case, the researcher must take his published idea and rephrase wording modification. That's to say, if I want to make good use of a researcher or some words of some researchers, not the results, but someone from extracted or something from or some lines which are extracted uh, from a research, we can use them and modify the words, these words by our own language, as if such as, for example, in the preview or in the introduction, I can use the words which he began with his research, and I can modify them and add some words from my own. Then it will be my own language when preparing this interview or introduction. In this case, the researcher must take his published idea and rephrase wording modification for use in his paper, which he is preparing for publication. This is taking into account that there are no acceptable limits for exploitation. There are some institute. In the next slide, we are going to know some of institutions that have designed their own code of ethics guides within the framework of general values and controls governing ethics. It is these institutions. There are some, for example, three. I give you three examples. IEEE, that's to say, stands for Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. The second, American Institute of Chemical Engineers. The third one, American Anthropological Association. These are three institutions which have designed their own code of ethics guides within the framework of general values and controls governing ethics. In the next slide, we are going to conclude what we have said in the previous slides. The ethics of scientific research is summed up in a set of basic values and governing controls or regulations that must be adhered to by all workers in the field of scientific research. There are special committees and councils. There are special committees and councils to monitor the commitment of institutions and individuals to the values and regulations or controls of research ethics. And the third, the last one, non-compliance with the rules of research ethics, especially inference, results in severe consequences, including prevention from research activity and scientific publication for varying periods and up to final exclusion, especially when one of the values governing research ethics is violated. There, we should commit to the values which we believe in, and we shouldn't violate any research ethics. That's the whole for my lecture today. Thank you for listening and for joining me, hoping that you got the beneficial or the benefit from this lecture. Thank you very much, and I'm waiting for your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your rich content presentation. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your
Thank
rich
you.
presentation, which can impact our knowledge seekers surely, ma'am. After your presentation, I hope our knowledge seekers can learn something new, which was our only intention, learn and grow together. I hope these knowledge seekers, ma'am. Once again, thank you so much,
Thank you.
ma'am, for your presentation. Now, ma'am, it's time for questions session, which is the one more valuable part of our regular webinar. Honorable ma'am, please stay with us. After a short video, we will be back in our session part 2, which is the question answer session. Dear IGP knowledge
Okay.
seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have webinar certification and online quiz competition. Welcome back, ma'am.
Okay.
Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have the certification and online quiz competition. Please ask your question in the comment box. Ma'am, our first question from Litrin Bhatta: what is the relationship between community engagement and research ethics? Thank you.
Between community.
Engagement and research
There's a,
ethics.
yes, yes. It's a very good question. In fact, as I said before, that one of the main services that the university offer to the society is to serve this society by using scientific research. Why? To solve the problems which the society may face. And so there should be an engagement between community engagement and the research ethics. Now, if you talk about something which is very important, that the special sector from the society should be engaged in doing such researches. And so there should be a society or a community engagement with the scientific research. That's to say, we're going to fund this university for doing these researches, and we are going to be adhered to the ethics or the regulations of the these researchers, which they should be or they will be carried out. And so the university will establish or will tell the community about these ethics and these regulations, and the community should respect these regulations and ethics. And this is the relationship between community engagement and the research ethics. As I said, the university should tell or establish these ethics for the community to know them, to so as to convince or persuade them to be persuaded to fund these researches. This is the research relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your answer.
Thank
Please,
you.
IGP knowledge seekers, ask your question in the comment box. Our speaker is waiting for your question. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask me if you have any question. Please ask your question in the comment box. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box. If you have any question, please ask our speaker. Ma'am, I hope there is no more question. I hope
Okay.
you full topics properly. That's why there are no question.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Once again, thank you so much, ma'am, for your
You're welcome.
time, GP. We have learned a lot from you with the new topic. It will add some value to our day-to-day activity along with our academic and professionals growth. Honorable ma'am,
Okay.
hope to see you again with a new topic and new date. Thank you, ma'am. Take care.
Okay. Thank you very much. Can I leave now?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the webinar certification process, the most attractive and popular part of our regular webinars. After a short video, we will start our webinar certification. After webinar certification, we have an online quiz competition and quiz certification. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the webinar certification process, the most attractive and powerful part of our regular webinars. After a short video, we will start our webinar certification. After webinar certification, we have an online quiz competition and quiz certifications. Welcome back, everyone. Today's are some technical problems. We cannot share our certificate. Provides our certificate code in a short time. Thank you. Today's some our technical problems. We cannot share our certificate code. We provide our certificate code in a short time. Thank you. Dear IGB knowledge seekers, it's time for the most engaging part of this is an online quiz competition, which is our regular webinar activity. Now it's time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition protocol, please follow my instruction carefully. First of all, you have to go www.slido.com and find today quiz or scan this for direct joining, and the code is global IGP, and the code is global IGP. After a short video, we will start our quiz session. After a short video, we will start our quiz session. Dear IGB knowledge seekers, please join in Slido and the code is Global IGP. Please join in Slido with code and code is Global IGP. Please join in Slido with code and the code is Global IGP. Hi, already 26 people are joined with us. Already 26 people are joined with us. Please join in Slido with code and the code is Global IGP. Please join in Slido with code and the code is Global IGP. First of all, you have to go www.slido.com and find today's quiz or scan this QR code for direct joining. And the code is Global IGP. Already 28 people are joined in Slido for quiz competition. IGP knowledge seekers, IGP is waiting for your participation. Let's start for the quiz competition. Our first question in research ethics are: first option is moral codes of behavior to be followed in research, and second option is moral principles to be followed when researching animals. Moral codes of behavior to be followed in research is the right answer, and 96% people are right. Our second question is ethics in research. First option is pertains to the pertains to the correct rules of conduct. And second question is informed participation and duration and products. Second option is the right answer, and 18% people are right. Our second question is, which is an example of scientific research? First option is seeing a Chirloant, Chirloant, and second option is a study of monkey behavior, collecting and analyzing data. Study of monkey behavior, collecting and analyzing data is the right answer, and 93% people are right. Our fourth question is, these are scientific research method. Our fourth question is, these are scientific research method on OB expect. First option is case, and second option is human research. First option is case, and second option is human research. Human research is the right answer, and 65% people are right. Our fifth question is, which shows the correct order of scientific research? First option is experiment, conclusion, and data table, and hypo, hypothesis. And second option is hypothesis, experiment, data table, and conclusions. Hypothesis and experiment, data table, and conclusion is the right answer, and 81% people are right. Our sixth question is the scientific method. First option is has three steps, and second option is begins with identifying the research topic of interest. First option is has three steps, and second option is begin with identifying the research topic of interest. Let's see. Begin with identifying and research topic of interest is the right answer, and 90% people are right. Move to the next question. Our seventh long question is, this scientific research method on OB trees simulating and situations. First option is case, and second option is laboratory. First option is case, and second option is laboratory. Which is the right answer, please? Laboratory is the right answer, and 70% people are right. Our eighth question is, sociologistic must consider ethics the conducting their research. True or false? First option is true, and second option is false. True is the right answer, and 93% people are right. Our ninth question is what are ethics? First option is when you call someone else work your own, and second option is a set of moral principles used to determine right or wrong. A set of moral principles used to determine right and wrong is the right answer, and 100% people are right. Why? Our next and final question in this session: Father of scientific management. First option is F. Taylor, and second option is H. Ford. Our final question is Father of scientific management. First option is F. Taylor, and second option is F. Ford. F. Taylor is the right answer, and 8% people are right. Congratulations. Congratulations to our webinar online quiz competition winners top 10. Congratulations, second slide will take a few minutes for finalizing the result, and after that we will issue our online quiz competition certificates on our official Facebook page and groups. And the official Facebook page and groups name is Institute of Global Professionals. Congratulations to our webinars online quiz competition winners top 10. Congratulations, second slide will take a few minutes for finalizing the result. After that, we will issue our online quiz competition certificates on our official Facebook page and groups. And the official Facebook page and group's name is Institute of Global Professionals. Congratulations. Congratulations to our webinars online quiz competition winners top 10. Congratulations, second slide will take a few minutes for finalizing the result. And after that, we also issue our online quiz competition certificates on our official Facebook page and groups Institute of Global Professionals. After the end moment of our session, we can say profile defeats your school. Never stop learning because life never stop teaching us. Be happy and stay safe. See you again and again. We want to your participant in every program. If you want to live a happy life, tie it to a goal, not to people or things. Albert Einstein. Before I say or hit the end live button, again wants to thanks to all IGP knowledge for your active participation as always. See you in the next session. Thank you so much for joining us and staying with us.